Minnesota lawmakers know that the current pretrial system isn't working. So in 2023, they asked the Minnesota Justice Research Center to study Minnesota's money-based system and tell them how to improve it.
The Minnesota Constitution guarantees each of us the right to be released pretrial if we meet certain conditions. These conditions are supposed to ensure that people appear for court and remain law-abiding. The problem is that judges often impose money as a condition, which we refer to as cash bail. If someone is assigned a bail and they or their family have access to wealth, they pay and go free. But if someone is assigned a bail they can't pay, then they stay in jail until their case is resolved.
On any given day, about 3,000 people are jailed in Minnesota without a conviction, many simply because they cannot afford cash bail. Black and Indigenous Minnesotans are vastly overrepresented in this pretrial population. We know people jailed pretrial have worse case outcomes and face collateral consequences like job loss, housing loss, and loss of family connections, all losses that harm individuals and make communities less safe.
For the last year, we've studied Minnesota's pretrial system. Everything that happens between arrest or citation and the resolution of a case.
We traveled across the country to learn from attorneys, judges, and advocates who have transformed their pretrial systems. We engaged system actors here in Minnesota, and we reviewed research to identify best practices and understand where Minnesota's system is failing.
We hosted 14 community engagement sessions around the state, and we talked with hundreds of community members. Most said that the pretrial process is not accountable to them or their loved ones.
Altogether, the system actors and community members we engaged agree that Minnesota's current pretrial system is not working as it should. Addressing its failures will require more than small reforms. Instead, our team strongly recommends comprehensive, system-wide transformation.
Instead of arresting people and booking them into jail, law enforcement should expand the use of cite and release where, like a traffic ticket, a person receives a citation and appears in court at a later date.
Every person should be represented by an attorney at hearings where bail and other pretrial conditions are decided.
Courts should stop using money to determine whether a person is released or detained pretrial, and instead make those decisions based on data and community well-being.
Pretrial release should be the presumption and not the exception. And when judges set conditions for release, they should use the fewest, least restrictive conditions necessary.
Pretrial service organizations should be created and funded to connect people to resources and to help them navigate the court process.
Victims of harm should be heard throughout the pretrial process, provided notice of case developments, and have access to wraparound services.
Together, our recommendations represent a transition away from a money-based pretrial system that privileges wealth toward one that prioritizes supports and more accurately accounts for community safety.
To transform the pretrial system in Minnesota will require a major commitment of time and resources. That's why we need dedicated, good faith collaboration among state leaders, system actors, and community members. Stakeholder buy-in is really critical to building a system that can effectively navigate the nuances, challenges, and opportunities of the pretrial process.
Minnesotans are calling for pretrial system change. Our report offers policymakers and community members the necessary tools to answer that call and position Minnesota as a leading example of what can happen when our pretrial systems are grounded in the values we hold most dear: safety, liberty, and equity. Thank you.